Good evening and welcome to Mystic Matters. My name is Trisha Cunningham, and normally I'm joined here this evening at Mystic Matters with my wonderful co-host Suzette Tebus, who wasn't able to be here tonight, so we miss her, but we know she's out there being an ambassador for our community doing something today, so we'll see her in a couple of weeks. But with me here, we do have Dan McFadden from the Mystic Seaport to give us an update on what's going on over there. So
How are
Dan,
you?
Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank
you
you
very much. Well, it feels like summer these days, but we're
It's been
getting
such great
there.
Weather. Yeah.
It has been great, and we're getting busy like we are in the summer. So just this Wednesday, for example, we have George Donne, author of 1812.
This is amazing that you're
which
having
is,
this author.
you know, this is the bicentennial of the War of 1812. A lot of events locally. This is a fantastic, pretty much brand new history of the naval conflict in that war. So he'll be at Mystic Seaport on Wednesday, starting at 5:30. You can walk up and buy a ticket at the door. It's going to be a great presentation.
He'll be doing book signings as
He'll
well?
be doing book signings. One person wins a raffle and gets to take the book home. But these are great events, and this will be really great. So
One thing I love that the Mystic Seaport does continuously throughout the year is offers different educational programs for different workshops and different kind of lessons in history. And you had something on the icebergs and things like that.
Oh yeah, we
So
had Quest for an Iceberg. We have
Yeah.
our adventure series, and also skills. Want to learn how to varnish your boat in traditional ways. We have a boat building class. Our planetarium has navigations and astronomy classes. We do this all throughout the year. There's always some sort of educational, no matter what you are interested in.
never-ending offerings from
We
the
try.
Mystic Seaport.
We try.
That's
There's always
terrific.
something. And actually, this weekend we do have on Saturday. We open our new exhibit, Treasures from the Collections, which I spoke about I think last time I was on the show. But it's 149 of our finest sort of artistic objects and artifacts from our collection.
Now, where at the Seaport will those be on display?
We'll be in the Schaefer Gallery. And the twist on this one is some of these things have been on display before. Some of them haven't and haven't been seen, at least in a general exhibit. But they obviously everything we have has a maritime story and some historical value. This show takes a look at the artistic and aesthetic pieces. So in addition to some famous paintings by Buttersworth and things like that of ships and seascapes, it's also artistic objects. For example, we have a Manchu robe. Chinese silk from probably the late 1900s. Absolutely beautiful. It was brought back, you know, some whaler or some sailor brought it back from China at home, and it was eventually donated to Mystic Seaport. Absolutely gorgeous. I mean, it's a work of art in its own. So it runs the gamut of not just sort of what you would think of as fine art, but actual objects, scrimshaw, you know, a ditty box with an incredible inlaid lid that was built on board a whale ship in December 1877, which is just gorgeous. And in that case, it wasn't even a trained artist. It was just a captain and his wife who helped put it together. And it's a phenomenal piece. So all sorts of neat things back from the, you know, from our vault, so to speak, that'll be out, and it's all beautiful stuff. So that
would be
opens
exciting.
Saturday.
Terrific. And what about Mystic Seaport's hours coming up in April?
Well, this is always our favorite time of the year, so starting this Saturday, we open up 9 to 5, and we're open up 7 days a week, so we're always open from now on.
Wonderful. That's exciting news. And where can people go for more information?
www.mysticseaport.org, as always.
Perfect. Thank you for being
Thank you,
here,
Trish.
Dan. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
Okay.
All right, and
Thanks.
we'll see you for the book signing
Absolutely.
for George Donne, and that's Wednesday.
That's Wednesday,
All right.
5:30.
Thank
Thanks.
you very much. Well, a couple other things going on in Mystic that we have to tell you about. We have joined forces with the Greater Westerly Pawcatuck Area Chamber of Commerce to bring a really exciting event this year. And I'll just pull this up to kind of get you thinking about it. This is an event called Fusion, and it's taking place May 11th, and it's going to be at the Velvet Mill Studios. And we're doing this in conjunction, like I said, with the Greater Westerly Pawcatuck Area Chamber of Commerce. And this event is going to have food tasting, beer and wine tasting, art exhibits. There's going to be this famed artist from New York City coming down. His name is Andy Golub, and he's going to be doing body painting. And we have different models that are all signed up for this, and it'll be very tasteful, I assure you. We'll be having the band Sugar come and perform for us. But if you know the Velvet Mill, it's an amazing location, an amazing venue, and there's this big warehouse area, and we'll be having the band playing in there, and it's just going to have a great, kind of a really, an edgy feel to it. It's going to be a fun event, and that's Friday, May 11th. A couple other things coming up. And just a side note, that event will sell out, so if you're interested in tickets, definitely contact me at the chamber. A couple other things I wanted to tell you is Saturday, March 31st, there's an event at the Mystic Art Center, and that is sponsored by Alliance for Living. It's called Art for Life. And this is an annual event that they do. They have an art auction, a silent auction, a live auction, and I will be the MC that evening, so I'm very excited. I'll have a co-MC sharing the spotlight with Jonathan Dunkley from Dunkley Cooling and Heating. So we're going to both be doing a little tug of war for the microphone. And then a series of networking events that we have coming up. Business Before Hours, Business After Hours, Groton Business Association. All of these different events this month are happening at Riverfront Children's Center, Savings Institute Bank and Trust, and Lighthouse Vocational Education Center. So you can go to our website to find the dates for all of those events, mysticchamber.org, and those are some of my updates. I have plenty more, but it's all on the website, and if you have any questions, you can always contact me at the chamber. And more importantly, tonight we have a wonderful guest with us. He's been on the show several times, Don Beebe.
Hi.
Don, welcome.
Nice to be here.
Thank you for joining us. Don is from the New London County 4-H Foundation, which manages the New London County 4-H camp. So, did I get all that?
You did.
All right. And Don has been a board member and a managing board member pretty much for about how long?
Over 17 years.
17 years. That's commitment.
I've been associated with the camp for over 50 years. I started there when I was young. And I run that, plus I run teen programs outside the camp, so I'm really very much dedicated to this program. It's nice to be here. I'd like to tell you a little bit about what's going on.
We would love to hear it because I know you have some events coming up and some deadlines.
Yes, well, we do. We have, to begin with, the 4-H Foundation is a nonprofit, just as you might imagine, and although it's a 4-H camp, 90% of our kids are right from this community. You do not need to be a 4-H'er, and I tell people that because that's important.
Well, what is a 4-H'er?
4-H is actually part of the Department of Agriculture. It stands for Head, Heart, Hands, and Health. And really what it is, it's just a good living program. And it originally started as a farm youth. I was a dairy farmer at one time. I'm a lawyer now.
Were you?
Yes, I grew up on a dairy farm.
Dairy farmer turned lawyer.
That's right, and my son went through the program, and he grew up in my household. My wife and I are both lawyers, and my daughter did also. But my son was an environmentalist, and that's what his project was. And my daughter is a ventriloquist, so she was in performing arts, and she was the #1 youth ventriloquist in the country at one point. And I'm a ventriloquist too, but the 4-H program is very open. But the kids that come to the camp, 90% of them are not 4-H'ers.
Interesting.
So parents out there, this is what you need to know. It's a tried and true program. The camp's been in existence for over 64 years at this location. 4-H has been in existence for over 100 years. We know how to manage kids, and that's the important part of this, so that when you're putting a child into this camp, you know that it's Middle America, which is important. There's no religion taught because it is, in some senses, tied to the USDA, so that's not going to happen. But we manage children, and we have been managing children and empowering children. Matter of fact, it's a youth empowerment program for over 100 years. I'm a product of that. My kids are a product of that, and there are hundreds upon hundreds and thousands of kids that have gone through.
But how many kids are there per summer season?
For summer, we had a big enrollment last year of over 820 kids. Of that, we had about 220. Now,
keep in mind, yeah, that's split up over the course of the summer.
Yes,
so each week
7
session.
weeks. It's 7 weeks plus a short clover program. So that basically we have 7 weeks, which is divided between. So you have about 100 to 120, 130 kids per week. There's a Clover program that's for 6, 7, and 8-year-olds.
Do they sleep away as well?
2 nights.
That's one thing we need to make sure we mention is that the 4-H camp is a sleepaway camp. Right. And where is it located?
It's located in Franklin on 37 Con Road in Franklin. Now let's just talk just about that because that's important. The program starts, if you have a 6, 7, or 8-year-old, we have a 2.5-day camp. That's 2.5 days, short period of time that they go away to our location. The camp consists of about 20 to 30 clovers and a staff of about 30. So you have about 1-to-1 in that ratio. And so they come in and they can spend that short period of time. Everything is reduced in size for them, and they have that short period. If they're 8 to 17, they can come into the general camp, and those are all the rest of the weeks. At the age of 14, they can go into what's called our Teen Leadership Program, which is a very, very popular program. We had over 220 teens in our program last summer. And there's no sex, drugs, or alcohol allowed in the program, and yet people come in, kids come in, and repeat and want to be there. And then off season, I also run the 4-H Teen Ambassador Program, and I had over 70 kids come into that program. and we meet them out once a month. And our average meeting runs about 40 to 50 kids in that program. And that's a program where we teach them about leadership skills, and I also teach them.
And this is the program that's outside of this is what you run
Right.
all year long.
I run all year long.
So what Don has set up is he has the 4-H camp, which is during the summer,
Right.
but above and beyond, he has during this rest of the school year a leadership program for kids in our
That's right.
area. So for the leadership program for the kids, where do they come from? Because
Well,
it takes place in Norwich,
right.
right?
Right, the camp is in Franklin, obviously. The leadership program takes place in Norwich also. Believe it or not, it's in my grandfather's barn.
Which is a cool location. I've
Been
been
there,
there.
yeah.
I've been there, and it's very cool.
right.
He's got all these games and
That's right.
Yeah,
I
it's
have
very
it.
neat.
My grandfather's barn is a building 40 by 70. The upstairs I've converted. It's as nice as a hotel ballroom. Downstairs is a big game room, and they come in and we teach them how to run conferences. But we eat real well. We have a lot of fun. We just had the Great Green Party on, for Green Day for St. Patrick's Day, where we all came in wearing green because 4-H is green, obviously. Had green milkshakes. We went out and had green. We had a fire and a whole bunch of stuff that we
was
did.
the fire green too?
No, but we tried to have green s'mores, but it didn't work. But basically,
So the kids, about how many kids are in the
that's
leadership program?
about it's 60 to 70.
60 to
I think
70.
the enrollment is 64.
And how often do you meet?
Once a month.
Once a month. And where do the kids all come from?
They come from all over the county, and actually some as far away as Massachusetts and Rhode Island.
Wow.
They come from across the state because it's the same population in some senses as our camp population.
Okay.
So they come in as part of the Teen Leader Program. And
Do you
they-
have to be a camper to be part
You
of
don't
the
have
leadership
to.
program?
You don't have to. But that seems to have been. Although we have a couple.
It's a trend, right?
Couple kids that have come in, teens that came in, and I was concerned would it work, and it worked perfectly. Matter of fact, they come in and they talk about how accepting. Of course, the 4-H program is very accepting, anyways. How accepting it is. So, anyways, the camp operates, as I said, and it starts. The Clover program, if you're interested, is it's June 21st to 23rd. Now, that's a very special program. I mean, if you have a child that's 6, 7, or 8, there's very few places that has a 2.5-day program, and overnight is important. Parents have a tough time in letting their child go. My wife did. Of course, my son's 30 years old now, and my daughter's 22, 23. But they had a tough time letting go. But the answer is, it's a very safe place. That's why I say it's a 4-H program. It's tied to the University of Connecticut and USDA. But it's a chance for your child to spend a couple days away. And what happens, and I hate to tell you, when they come in, they're clinging to the parents, and then 2 days later they don't want to go home. And the parents have a little tough time, but they realize that what happens at that point is that the child needs to go someplace they can. If there's so much that happens as a result of this program. And then obviously from that point at 8, they can go to either program. They can start in the general camping program. So we're looking for campers. There's a website called My4HCamp.online.com where you can register, and we would love to have them. The other thing we had last summer, as I told you, Operation Military Kids. 4-H also is tied to the military. We got a grant from the Pentagon, and the 4th week of camp was opened up to children of service personnel, people who are deployed. That's the could be a National Guard, the sub-base, and the like, and they came to camp for a week for free. Now this was something that I had a concern because most of our kids, at least in a general week, there's probably 2/3 of the kids have been there. This was a week of entirely kids that have never been there. And I watched the camp.
And did they mix with the other campers that were there?
There were no other campers.
There were no other, okay.
It was open entirely to them, and they had the time of their life.
And they were able to share their experiences,
right.
and that was something that was unique, unique to their lives.
It was, and matter of fact, I mentioned to you before, we had a grant for 100, and then I got a letter from one of the 4-H educators about a mother of a child whose daughter she felt was isolated and couldn't get in and was hoping. So we went out and raised enough money for the other 20 kids that were on the waiting list and brought them all in.
That's terrific.
But the interesting part about it, and I always think the teens will tell you more about life. I watched the teen population, which we had about 40 kids or 30 or 40 kids that week. And you're thinking, they have to come in and they do certain things because it's a leadership program. And the first night they kind of looked and said, what am I doing? And by the second and third night, they were in it up to their eyeballs, so to speak, and they enjoyed themselves. And I would tell you, as a group, they were probably the strongest group I've seen coming in. So we have that program. The general camping program is full of all types of traditional activities such as archery and arts and crafts and canoeing and funyaks, those are kayaks that don't sink, drama. We have video productions. You actually make a video at the
Really?
camp.
So there's electricity at the camp?
Oh, there's electricity. We have flush toilets, hot showers. We eat in
Do you
the
have beds?
Yes, we have
Okay.
beds. We have bunk beds that are with
So
mattresses.
they have cabins and
Cab-
great bathrooms. set up
Cabins.
and-
There's a cement floor. Floors, walls, windows, doors. People are shut in at night, so you haven't got to worry. This is like not that there's anything wrong with the Boy Scout program, but we're not sleeping really on the ground. Although there is a program called Outdoor Living where you can spend one night outside, and we have tents for that. We have a ropes course, which is a challenge course. We have all types of swimming and canoeing. We have jewelry making, fishing, rocketry, where you build rockets and shoot them off, scrapbooking, ukulele building, just to name some. And I probably have missed some. Drama, it's and double Dutch jump roping and a whole host of other things.
A little something for everybody
right.
to really meet the needs, because kids, as you know, have all diverse types of interests. So this really helps them go in. They're going to find something that they're interested, that they can grab a hold of and feel like they're part of the program.
And the important part about 4-H is that I always say that I need to have these programs, wonderful programs, to bring them in, but we need the child to come in, and the purpose of the 4-H camp is to make them feel better about themselves. And the goal, and the foundation has one goal and one goal only. Have we reached them? Has that child felt stronger about themselves? Do they feel more accepted? And that's really what the underlying theme is. And there's a whole bunch of other things that happen. There's all types of theme weeks, and maybe Harry Potter week will be there this week. We don't know. We don't know what's going to happen in the various weeks. Color Wars is where you think that people compete and a bunch of stuff, but the goal is to reach that child.
Now, what about for the counselors, the camp counselors that are there? How do you find them, and how long are they trained for? How does that process
The
work?
camp counselors, well, the most recent past, and say the last 15 years, they've actually, most of them have come up through the system. Because we have
So they've been campers, they've gone through the leadership
team,
program.
the junior
Okay.
staff. There's a junior staff program on top of the team leader program. They're junior counselors, and then they become counselors.
They're lifers.
That's right. And so they know they know the camp better than I do, and they know and they believe in it. And the ones that we select are those who were the stars. And these are the kids that are now counselors that know that this is the place that changed their lives. And their goal, if you listen to the people who get the spots, if they talk to you about wanting to affect the lives of a child and give it back, they're the ones that are high on the list. So we have that. We also have a group of internationals, 2 or 3, that come in through Camp USA. So kids are exposed usually from Australia or England or some country like that, so they have that connection. And then we do extensive training. Besides the fact that they're trained from the time they're junior staff on, and actually team leaders, and many of them in my off-season program. But we also then have all the 4-H camps. There's 4,000 kids that go through the camping system, and 3 of the camps get together on a weekend, and for a 48-hour period, have all types of experts come in, and we train them on all the things that parents would worry about. I'm actually a personal injury lawyer and also a criminal lawyer, so we do all the sexual touching. I bring in the internet pages about predators, and we teach them that it's not going to happen here. And any parent that has a concern about this, we deal with it, because there's a concern, not in our camping system, but there never should be a parent that should have that on their mind. And we teach them, all types of things, like bullying is very important right now. The issues that you have in your school system.
One of the key things you said when you first came on was acceptance.
That's right.
So it seems like that's a message that is a theme that's kept run throughout the program with the counselors, with the kids. Is acceptance.
And it is acceptance, and the reason why I'm glad you mentioned that is because even in the teen program, one of the mothers helped us. We had a trip to the Big E, the Eastern State Expedition. We were given a bus to go, and a mother came on as a chaperone, and I said, well, it's nice you to come. She said, I had to come. And I said, why did you come? So my son hasn't really wanted to do anything except your program. And I said, and she said, well, what is it about the 4-H, what is it about the 4-H program that's important to you? And he said it was a judgment-free zone, which I think is probably, a good way to describe it, because it is acceptance. And when you go to a 4-H dance, for example, we just had one we call it the Heart Dance in our teen program. Everybody dances. And somebody, how can that be? Because the rule is, if somebody asks you to dance, you dance. And instantaneously, people get up. And the 2 kids that came in from the outside, so to speak, were amazed. All of a sudden, everybody was just dancing. It wasn't like you waited to the end of the night.
All of a sudden, their last song comes on, and everybody's like, "Okay, finally, I'll step out of my comfort zone."
But the point is that has been going on at the camp, and again, it really is the purpose, and the purpose is who you are. And it's hard to describe why it works that way, but we all were there. And so from the very top, which is I guess me, all the way down to the 6-year-old, the second they understand that they want to know your name, they want to know who you are, and the ratios are very small. Usually it's about 1 to 4, 1 to 6. There's a lot of contact. Then there's the teen leaders. The teen leaders help people out, the junior staff. So there's this huge network of people. And all those people, what they have learned is that sometimes that there's more joy in having other people have fun if you've helped to do it. So they get on the bandwagon, and the little kids, or the kids up to the age of 13 or 14, are then benefiting from that. So anyways, that's sort of the main mission of the camp. Now
when should people be signing up for
Right
this?
now.
Because does it fill up? You know, when should they
Well,
be
the
planning?
camp is sort of elastic. I mean, we have about 800. We probably have another 200 beds. So if we had an extra 200 kids, we have the counselors in for it. But you can do it right now. There's actually a special between now and April 1st where you can save about $20.
So sign up now.
And that's, you can go to my4hcamponline.com and do that.
Okay.
And then we have, then of course, from now right through the beginning of camp, which is the middle of June, when the camp actually starts. The Clover Camp, which is the 21st, is the first day of camp. But you can, and we register all throughout the summer. So basically, you should do it, but you should start planning now. Some weeks do fill, not all of them fill. We had a bigger population last year than most, and we may have, and the numbers are up this year, so we're looking forward to it. But I want to talk to you as a parent, because basically, you know, when my children were growing up, I wanted to know what to do, and I tried to do a lot of things. And I have a secretary in my office, and it just happened to her what happened to me. You know, we go to Disney World, we go to Bar Harbor in Maine, we do these things. And then you're driving out of the 4-H camp in Franklin, Connecticut, and your son or daughter says, and both my son and daughter said to this, 7 years apart, "Dad, this is as great as Disney. This is great as Bar Harbor." And my wife's secretary, my wife's my law partner, said to me yesterday that her grandson is going to go to Disney World with his father, and he said to his father, "I want to go, but I think 4-H camp is better."
Wow.
And that's universal. It's not universal, but just think about that comment,
Yeah.
because we spend a fortune on our kids, or we look really hard. We look hard because we love them and we want to do what's best for them.
But there's an amazing amount of
That's
value that comes from going to the 4-H
That's right.
camp. Amazing amount of self-knowledge, you know, self-awareness that comes to the children when they're there, and an opportunity to be kids. This is something that I've
That's
always
right.
said about 4-H
That's
is, you know, kids are growing up so fast in
That's
our
right.
in our world, in our culture. They're the TV that they're watching, the music, and everything. That's something that's gone on forever. Is the kids seem to keep growing up faster and faster and faster and faster, especially with the internet and cell phones and things of that nature. And at 4-H camp, they have an opportunity to really be kids,
That's right.
which is the biggest gift of all, I think.
And it is a gift. And the other thing is this: that they, in some senses, we can't change what's happening outside or in schools, and we have to embrace it because that's what it is. But for a week at a time, we can do age-appropriate activities, and they embrace that. My niece, who's grown up, her mother they came from Texas. My mother came from Texas. What's so important about the camp? And she said that you can go there and you can be yourself. And if you're a girl, you're not going to get hit upon, because that just doesn't happen there. You can be yourself, and you can concentrate on those things that you normally don't do. So you sing songs, you develop friendships. It's not inappropriate to laugh and giggle, to hug somebody. It's not inappropriate. And it's not, you know, and the silly songs that I sang at the 4-H camp are still being sung because they work. You know, what could be a big event at the 4-H camp on a hot day is to pour a pail of water on a counselor head who's drawn a straw, and it's a national event out there. So it's those types of things. I'd like to just mention that we are having a fundraiser at the end of April.
Yes.
They have our annual auction, which is on the 27th and 28th of April. It's at the camp. We're looking for donations, and you can do that by calling my office, which is 860-889-5266. That's 860-889-5266. You can also go into my4hcamponline.com and indicate you want to donate something. We're taking gift certificates. We take, you know, cash donations. If you want, I mean, we do take slightly used furniture and stuff, but
You
not
name
stuff.
it. So all sorts of
Yeah.
different. You can put a basket together with different items. So
Yeah,
all
baskets.
sorts of different ideas.
And you know, when she mentioned about the fact that the child, I had my office call with some quotes because I was in court before I came here, but and it says these are some parents said, "My child became more confident and learned it was not too hard to make friends with strangers in a new place. He was a little nervous about going alone, but everybody was welcoming." A teen parent wrote, "It taught my teen independence, leadership, and skills. Taught the child not to be bored." Not to be bored.
That's a big one.
And life skills and friends. And you know, it's interesting because I do run this. I started with this off-season program. It was a 4-H program that I sort of adopted or became part of. And I have watched the same thing happens there, in the sense that because we do the same thing. If you could see what I do with teens, and you know, I do a lot of things with teens. I believe in all age groups. You know, I'm a Harvard interviewer, so I teach them how to, you know, interview for college. I have them resumes. I do letters of recommendation. But I know that they want to have fun. So this last weekend, we made green milkshakes.
Yep.
They had more fun making green milkshakes than you can imagine. They had green on their hands, and they were worried. I said, it'll come off by the time they're 35. Don't worry about it. And then a couple weeks ago, before the Heart Dance, which is 4-H's Head, Heart, Hands, and Health, we have a Heart Dance in Valentine's Day, just in case you're wondering when we do it. But we made candy. And all the kids, and I had teenage boys actually decorating candy, and they were very, very skilled at it before they got done. At the same time, they were learning how to run a program, how to evaluate that program, how to execute it, and the like, and they had to have it for their contemporaries, which is really hard to do. In that program, we actually put a dinner theater on right in the middle of it, so they had to put on music and skits. So all this stuff is happening, and they don't even realize it's happening.
Right.
And at the end of each day, we do what's called a reflections program, where we sit around. This Sunday, we sat around a fire outside in the woods that I own, and they talked about the day. And I have them do that because, one, they reflect on it, but they also are public speaking, because there's about 30 kids. There was 30-some kids there that they were talking to, and before they realized it, they're running conferences.
So many amazing life skills that come out of both the 4-H camp and the leadership program that Don runs throughout the year that, you know, I thank you.
Well, I appreciate
Thank you,
it.
because this is something that Don has his business and his kids are out of school, and this is something that he still gives back to. This is a huge part of our community that we need to make sure we keep here and keep people like Don involved and get more people involved to help keep the 4-H camp going. And so if you have ideas for silent auction items that you can contribute to their silent auction or want to make a donation to the camp, I'm sure that they would be greatly appreciating of that. And one more time, if you could mention the website.
Yeah, the website is My 4-H Camp Online, and also the open houses are there, so you can come in there on Saturdays and Sundays. They're coming up. I usually am there. Well, why don't you give us an opportunity to have your children? Give us an opportunity. This is a nonprofit group. You know, please try to give them an opportunity. Bring them up. Come in and try to do it.
It's a beautiful facility.
And give it a shot. It's been, you know, and I hope that it works for you, because it worked for my children, and it worked for me, and it's working for children. The hardest thing is to have people come in. I just noticed somebody said they didn't know anybody, but they're accepted. The 2 kids that came into the teen program this fall didn't know a soul, and they're accepted. One of them did a reflections program. The other one's leading. Just give us a shot. And you know, I get more from this. I'm a volunteer than you can possibly imagine, but there's nothing in it for me from a dollars and cents point of view. But what is it for me is, I think from a society's point of view, we need to look out for our children. We need to give them places that are safe. We need to give them places where there's values and that they can grow in an environment that they can flourish in. And I've seen it happen so many times, and I can tell you so many stories. And we really appreciate you having us here.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure. And think about coming to our auction on the 26th, the 27th, and 28th. Give my office a call, or go online and tell you want to donate something. We could use a lot of cash, just so you know that. Gift certificates work really well, baskets or gently used items. But thank you very much.
Thank you for being here. And thanks for tuning in to Mystic Matters, and we'll see you next week.